So there's been a sounds like a scam. Create another clash. Yes, this is the greatest minds of the Democratic Party at work. Breaking. The Democratic Party plans to spend $20 million to reclaim support from young men, from the New York Times. The plan creates a strategy called SAM, Speaking with American Men. Isn't that SWAM? Oh, I spelled it wrong. Oh. Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah. No, is it? I don't even know. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know. It's a strategic plan. It will study the syntax used by young men to create viral posts online and recommend ad buys within video games. So, the Democrats are losing young guys. Democratic Party is launching a $20 million initiative to regain support from young men. The campaign, titled SAM, Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan. This is really fucking embarrassing. And let's see if I can play this right here.
Yeah, good questions. One, let me save the folks from the Times and all the other great, print outlets some time. If you dig in on what Democrats are researching right now, you're going to find a lot of silly stuff. You're going to find people asking a lot of questions, people asking about syntax and do I drop the G from this word and this and that, and it's going to be a lot of that. So let me just warn everybody, that process is going to be very obnoxious for this 40-something. I would also say, we're really talking about young men, right? Young men who Democrats have not figured out a consistent pitch for how to get in front of. And I think it starts with authenticity. Yeah. Good.
It doesn't start with authenticity. It has nothing to do with authenticity. It has to do with policy. All of the policies that Democrats push disadvantage young men. Policies like gender parity, other types of things that advantage women over men, a Karen democracy, a Karenocracy. All of these things put men at disadvantages. The idea that any sort of rough language or like aggressive male behavior is automatically scary and it needs to be reported by HR and you shouldn't be allowed to act this way. The fact is that when a lot of guys get together, this is the way that they act. And if you don't like that and you don't want that to be the case, that's fine, but just don't expect those people to vote for you. When you demonize and basically make these people out to be like they're bad people because, for whatever reason, you don't like the way that they communicate, don't be surprised whenever they vote for you. Why would a young guy want to vote for a person to tone police them, tell them what to do, and then give other people advantages that they don't have access to? Why would a young guy want to vote for that? What are you, fucking retarded? Fuck no. Absolutely not. And you remember that other thing, like with the DEI stuff, and a lot of guys that are black or like Hispanic or Asian or whatever, remember that one video that we saw that it said that something like 90% of the beneficiaries for DEI are women? Well, what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck is this? And so why would I want to have and support all of these systems? White women, yeah, exactly. So why would I want to support a bunch of systems that are basically fucking welfare for Karens? Fuck no. Absolutely not. And so anyway, no, I don't think that they can get guys back at all in any capacity whatsoever. And playing video games, like, oh yeah, we're going to try to get into video games and do that. Young men are edgy and crass, things demonized by the Democrats. Exactly, right? And yeah, it's really fucking nuts, man. And yeah, Democrats so entrenched in misandry and matriarchy, there's no way they'll get men on board. Exactly. There is no self-respecting man that's going to vote for a Democrat whenever the Democrats are actively trying to demonize young men. Let me see if I can find this here, and I'll find a video about it. That's a crazy statement. No, I'm being honest. I am. I think this is a huge problem, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. MSDNC, exactly. Democrats will never win with young men because their ideology thrives on demonizing them. Yeah, they do. And also, by the way, another big issue is that The reason why, like, for example, what a lot of young men want to be able to have is an opportunity and a chance to be on an even playing field. And when the entire foundation of a party is that you're not on an even playing field, you have an unfair advantage. And because of that unfair advantage, we have to create artificial advantages for other people that you don't have access to. That really doesn't sell very well to a person who, like, if you're a guy in a working class family and, you know, your parents make $40,000 a year, you don't have this massive advantage over a woman in the same way, right? It's a totally different dynamic. And so, and guess what? Most people aren't rich. It's a self-cuck. Yeah, no guy is going to sign up for that. I can't imagine any guy that would want to do that at all. Remember pre-election in October, they tried to appeal to men, then they ended up offending men? Then Tim Walz tried to appeal to men, that also was failing? Well, yeah, it's like it was embarrassing.
The midterms fast approaching and a full 6 months after November's electoral drubbing, the Democratic Party appears to still be in fact-finding mode. The New York Times reports that party donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working-class voters.
One more again.
The Democratic Party appears to still be in fact-finding mode. The New York Times reports that party donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working-class voters.
This is from MSNBC. So it's not like they're trying to spin this to make them look bad. Like, this is bad, bro. Yeah, they get crucified. Yeah, it's done, man. The Hunger Games kind of shit? Yeah, exactly.
And they're spending $20 million on an effort to try to figure out how to speak to young men. Quote, it is...
Don't support policies that actively disadvantage them. Here, I'm going to give them... Here, the Democrats, listen... Just give me 10. You can keep the other 10 and divide it up into, like, you know, consulting fees and, you know, do the corruption thing or whatever. Or maybe you can give it back. That's probably not going to happen, no. Just give me the 10 million and you can listen to this. Stop making policies that put them at a disadvantage structurally. If there is a single policy that a straight white guy will not have access to or will not be a beneficiary of, especially a guy in general, will not be able to be a beneficiary of unless he has some weird sexuality, or not even, I don't think weird is the right word, a non-heteronormative sexuality, you've already lost. You've lost. You're not going to get people to sign up for something that puts them at a disadvantage. It's ridiculous. Weird is the correct word. I don't know. I mean, somebody wants to be gay. You know how I am. I don't really give a fuck. Somebody's gay or some shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Like, I understand that, like, people really want me to, like, care about this, but, like, I just don't give a fuck. I don't care.
It's codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces.
Embarrassing.
I want to bring in Megan Hayes, a former specialist.
Absolutely fucking embarrassing. Let's hear from Karen on why this is a good idea.
Assistant to President Biden, and Basil Smikle is back with me. You're both smiling. Donors and strategists, Megan, have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters. The Times says these new projects can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. What do you see in here?
Well, it's great that we're being a little bit more introspective. That's always helpful. But I think that the Democrats have forgot that maybe we should just talk to people like people. We don't need to do studies on it. We don't need to meet at hotels. How about we just go to community meetings and meet people where they are on social media and their different forms and platforms that they are. But I think that the Democrats have forgot how to talk to normal people about things that are really important to them, like the.
She's right. Actually based Karen. Yeah, she's right. And the reason why is that oftentimes they don't want to talk to you. They want to, quote, educate you.
Economy. So it's I think a really good lesson to learn, but I also think we just need to get back to basics.
Yeah, I think, Basil, another very informative little phrase, and you're the academic here, but when you're trying to figure out the syntax, language, and content, are you getting ahead?
Yeah, no, you're not. This is
Thank
not,
you.
I really have no understanding what that.
Thank fucking God. Okay. Yeah, just be honest. No, you're not. Okay. Yes, exactly. Nope. He's trying to laugh. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is because, honestly, if somebody needed to come talk to me, just come talk to me. Actually, go find me and come and talk to me. Don't do it in a hotel.
Yeah.
Don't study me like this is some academic exercise. That is exactly why we're not winning.
Yep.
Because because Democrats have been accused of looking and sounding too elitist. That's a problem.
They are.
And the truth.
Yeah, they are. That's the reason why. I mean, it's all, well, we're educated, you're not educated, you're poor, we're not poor. That's all. Yeah, that's the entire thing. It's the entire premise of it.
Look, the reality is.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what strikes me? Yeah. Because if you talk to some of these folks, and I can just tell you anecdotally, but you know, obviously there are lots of people doing focus groups on this, that these folks don't like Donald Trump. They don't want to vote for Donald Trump, and most of them won't vote for Donald Trump. But they don't have a darn good thing to say about the other side.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? When don't you start out ahead if they really dislike the other guys?
Well, you know, here's a good example. There's been a lot of conversation about.
He's right. Yeah, he's right. Is that like, yeah, no, you started with a huge advantage because like Donald Trump has a lot of, you know, like he says some crazy shit sometimes, and he's had controversies in the past. It's like, yeah, no, that's definitely a good amount of people that are like that for sure.
What people knew about Joe Biden and when did they know it? To Megan's point, if you actually go into communities and talk to voters, they're not asking about Joe Biden. They're asking, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And if if Democrats don't have an answer for that question, they're going to continue to lose support. Find answers, go into communities, actually amplify what neighborhood organizations, we talked in the last segment about violence disruptors. Talk to those folks because they're in these streets. There are really good examples of how people have taught each other, ministered to each other, clothed and fed each other, because particularly in the African-American community, we've always done that. So amplify those stories. But instead, you know, we're held up at hotels talking to each other.
Megan, the time.
This is not, the thing is that like if you try to do anything and base any of this stuff off of like race politics or anything like that, you're going to end up behind. Racial divides are by definition a dividing line, right? And so if you try to start making things and say like, oh, well, how do you appeal to men? You shouldn't think about how to appeal to men. You should think about how to appeal to people. And like, yes, men and women are different, but the fact is that if you treat men like there's some sort of like inherent problem with the way that they act or something like that, you're going to have them dislike you because a woman wouldn't want to be treated that way either. No one wants to be treated that way.
He also writes that Democrats have led, indeed, focus groups where voters are asked to name an animal that best describes the Democratic Party. One man said, a deer in headlights. You stand there and you...
So let me get this straight. A bunch of retards got together for $20 million at a luxury hotel, and they decided to pick what their spirit animal for the Democratic Party was, and they're worried why they're losing? I think that we have a problem. I think that there's a big problem That's a big problem. Oh my God.
See the car coming, but you're going to stand there and get hit with it anyway.
Yeah.
Changing perception, obviously, it's not a 1 month thing. It's not even a 1 year job. But what can Democrats do? Because the midterms will be here before they know it.
Right. I mean, the Democrats didn't get into this place of one election cycle. It wasn't just 2024. This has been going on for many years. So I think it's going to take the Democrats time. But I do think that that Congress was very aligned on their messaging with the bill that was passed in the House. And I think that they are very aligned, and they're out there and talking to their communities and their constituents. And I think they need to be aligned on that and continue to stay aligned on. They care about the economy. They care about keeping 14 million.
The economy doesn't matter. The economy is an abstraction. Like the number of the GDP going up, whether it goes up or down, or how high the stock market is or whatever, these are all abstract concepts that will not resonate with young men because young men don't have enough capital for those things to have an influence on them. So if you say, if some young guy comes up to you and says, oh, I can't get a fucking job, the economy sucks. And then you say, well, if you look at this graph, you'll see that ever since 2021, the graph has gone up like this. Nobody gives a fuck about that. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't make a difference. That doesn't affect their material situation. So these constant appeals to these abstractions that don't relate to real people is the problem. That's the entire issue, is that these amorphous concepts, these big ideas like the economy. What does the economy mean?
People with their health insurance, and the 18 million kids keep getting food. And I think that those are the things that the Democrats are aligned on. I think they need to continue to stay aligned on what's important to the American people and what's important to the moderates, and that is the economy. It's the cost of housing, the cost of education, the cost of groceries. Those are the things that impact everyday people.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're totally right. No one is talking about Joe Biden and who knew what when. They're talking about how much it is to pay for groceries.
Everybody's talking about that because it's a huge scandal. That you effectively had an immensely AFK president for years, and there was a coordinated attempt by not only the administration but also the media to actively hide that fact, even though they were all complicit and aware of it. No, that's a really big deal. That's a massive big deal. They try to act like it's not a big deal because it makes them look bad, but yeah, it was a big fucking deal.
And how they're going to get their kids to school every day. So it's just, we need to be more aligned with where people are who are actually voting and not what the DC bubble is.
Well, that part of it is accurate. The funny thing is that, like, I'd say probably I'd say actually like 30% of this was accurate. Like 30% of this I agree with, and the other 70% I don't agree with. And luxury hotels are still a problem. Don't be a dumbass. You lost on the issues. Exactly, yeah. You open and explain it. They're making luxury hotels to figure out how to talk to working people. It's just embarrassing, man. It's really fucking embarrassing.